The Laziest Generation. An old lady was on the checkout at the local supermarket when a young female cashier approached her. The cashier looked at her arrogantly and told her that she ought to bring her own grocery bags next time, saying, "Plastic bags aren't green and you are hurting the planet." "We didn't have the green thing back in my early days," the senior woman explained. The cashier looked at her angrily and replied, "I don't care what you have or didn't have. That's our problem today. Your generation doesn't care enough to save our environment for future generations. You almost blew and it's ruined the planet." The old lady didn't say a word, and the cashier continued, "It's all your fault, and now we suffer because you're too lazy and indifferent." The old lady admitted that the cashier was right about one thing. Their generation doesn't have the green thing in their days. She looked at the cashier with a warm smile and told her, "Honey, back then we returned milk bottles, lemonade bottles, and beer bottles to the shop. The shop sent them back to the planet to be washed and sterilized and filled so that it could use the same bottle repeatedly. So they really were recycled." We walked upstairs because we didn't have an escalator in every shop and office building. We walked to the shop and didn't climb into 300 horsepower machine every time we had to go 2 blocks. Back then, we washed the baby diapers because we didn't have the throw-away kind. We dry clothes on a light, not in an energy copying machine burning up 220-volt wind. And solar power really did dry our clothes back in our early days. Back then, we had one TV or radio in the house, not a TV in every room. And the TV had a small screen the size of a handkerchief. Remember them? Not a screen the size of Scotland. In the kitchen, we blended and stirred by hand because we didn't have electronic machines to do everything for us. When we packed a fragile item to send in the post, we used old papers to cushion it, not styrofoam or bubble wrap. Back then, we didn't fire up an engine and burn petrol just to cut the loan. We exercised by walking, so we didn't need to go to a health club to run on treadmills that operate on electricity. We drank from a fountain when we were thirsty instead of using cups or plastic bottle every time we have a drink of water. We refilled writing pen with inks instead of buying a new pen, and we replaced the razor blades in the razor instead of throwing away a whole razor just because the blade got dull. Back then, people took the bus and kids rode their bikes to school or walk instead of turning their mom into a 24-hour texting service. And now, you tell me how lazy I am, dear.